Welcome to part 3. In this series, we're building a portfolio website using HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap styling. This episode, episode 3, will focus primarily on Bootstrap, and then we will apply the Bootstrap to the HTML document that we have configured thus far. And let's get to it. All right, welcome back. Okay, so if you remember from the last 2 videos, this is what we are building, a portfolio website, the home, the about page, and the contact me. Cool. And last time for our project, we got the base of our code down. So just like the HTML, that's what I mean, in our index.html file. So we started the nav bar, and we have a title of our website, and then we just placed all the images. So let's actually look at what that looks like. We'll review that in a second. So if I open portfolio project, I go to the index.html, bring it over here. Okay, let's bring this into focus. So yeah, so right now this is what our website looks like. Yeah, not so nice looking, but we have all our information here, which is great. And then we haven't built out the About Me or the Contact Me page. So actually, if I click here, it goes to the HTML, but there's nothing there. So if I go back to the index is great. Bootstrap. What is Bootstrap? It's mentioned in the title of the series. It's been mentioned in every video so far. What is going on? So Bootstrap. Build responsive mobile-first projects on the web with the world's most popular front-end component library, right? And so what does that mean exactly? So basically, in our HTML for the project we've been building, we can style everything in our CSS. For example, right now I have the title, and I don't really need that there, but if I wanted to style this H3, this title, I can go into my CSS and just style it up, right? If we can look at what's going on there right now. So if I wanted to make this centered, I would do text align center. And I can do all this just in the weeds, just do everything. I could get this to float like I did in episode 1. The thing is, there are certain libraries, such as Bootstrap, that just kind of help you get off the ground running. And let's go through some examples. Again, this is the documentation. It's called getbootstrap.com, and I'll put it in the show notes. So an example, what is a Bootstrap website? There's a certain aesthetic, a certain look that you just know it's bootstrapped. So while it's great to use Bootstrap, and there are certain features that I sometimes even leave in, it's then good to kind of style it on top of Bootstrap so it doesn't look like maybe just another Bootstrap website. But there's really no, this, right, this is definitely preferable, what's going on here, to kind of this mess. So if your first websites look like Bootstrap websites, I have websites on my GitHub that look like Bootstrap websites because my main focus was not the look of it. It was maybe the JavaScript happening behind it. But regardless, this for a first website, if this was your first website, that's amazing. So there's some core features. It's really easy to have this is called an accordion or a hamburger menu. It's what I call it. And this is where it accordions down. And so a typical use of a hamburger, I think, would happen, let's see, yeah, on this website. So typically, and you've seen this, where it's a full website here, and then for mobile, it'll go to hamburger. So that's responsiveness. I really love some Bootstrap features, such as this is a carousel. And see, in this way, I think when I was first starting to learn, especially, I liked Bootstrap because I didn't really know JavaScript at the time. So implementing my own carousel would have almost been impossible, versus with Bootstrap, you can have classes and then you have a carousel. So there are certain features like that it just definitely comes in handy with. Take a look at more of the examples for what's possible here. And we're going to talk now about the core feature of Bootstrap, which is why I first fell in love with it. And let's dive in. So it has a grid system, which is great. And so as you can see, the grid is 12 columns, and then you break that into rows. So the way we arranged it here, for example, on this portfolio website, let's go to the completed one, right? We have 3 rows of 3 columns. So in order to do that, knowing that the grid system is made of 3 columns, we're going to go see where the 4 is. And each column would have the width of 4 because 4 goes into 12 3 times. If I wanted it to be 4 across, I'd give each column a width of 3. And so you just kind of do like fast math. And then they don't even have to be even, right? So 12 can also be broken up 4 and an 8. So this column will always be twice the size of that column. And this would be great if you had like 2 items that you wanted one to be larger, yeah, and one to be smaller. Making sense so far? I may have filmed this part a few times, trying to make sure like I was emphasizing the right things. Because yeah, Bootstrap, there's a lot to it. And I think this could be a longer video for sure. I think, yeah, once I'll start implementing it and we'll learn as we code. That's also a great way of doing it. So yeah, in a second, we are either going to download it. I think actually I'll just copy it in, but just know that there's also an option to download it and put it into the folder directly and then link it and make your script tags. Okay, so let's look a little bit at the documentation and then we'll get started, and I'm sure we'll be like going there and back. Okay, so here's the quick start, right? You put this in your CSS, you put it in your JavaScript, so pretty straightforward. They even give you a starter template, which is great, as you can see. Hello world. It's what we did in episode 1. They talk about a lot of things, which are great. So I definitely would take some time if you're curious to learn more. So we just talked about the layout. And as you can tell, container is important. Container is what sets the responsive max width breakpoint. And we'll talk more about breakpoints. I think we'll kind of go into that more as we go. And I just kind of went over the grid. So 1 of 3 columns, 1 of 3 columns, 1 of 3 columns. So as you can see, what they did is you have to initiate with class container, right? This is the surrounding div. Next, they have 1 row here, right? It's 1 row. So they put row, and then they just put column small, and column small. And so the program knows, okay, because there are 3 here, they're each gonna take up a column, and then since it's small, and that's at this mobile width, or 600 pixels wide, they're all going to take up 1 whole row. And they talk more about that. And so here they just define them as small. So it's just like, okay, take up as much space as is available in this row. Unless it's small, I want it to take up the whole row. Whereas right here, we could have also defined them, if we wanted it to go across 3, as call.call/4. So instead of call small, call/4. And then you can also define it so you could do call small 4. So I want it to be that, but at medium, I want it to be something else. Yes. And that's another, yeah, like just like they do here. So here they have a call and just normal calls, and then they call this one 6. So this is going to take up 6 columns, and then that leaves for these 3 and 3, because added those all together, that makes 12. Okay, yep, that's what's going on there. Yeah, so it's a little hard. I feel like I'm trying to jam this all in quickly. Again, definitely go to the documentation, go to grid, play around with it. I think once we actually dive into the code, it's going to make a lot more sense. So let's get to that. Homepage of the Bootstrap documentation at getbootstrap.com. I'm just going to click Get Started. Let's follow what they say. All right, so quick start. So I'm going to take this link, just click Copy, and it tells me to put it right in the head. And we've done this before. So I'll just save that. We didn't really do anything. So we're back in the index, right? So I'm going to put this underneath my style sheet, like so, and save. Now let's go back. Okay. Now, all right. So now this script You want to put it right before the closing of the body tag. All right. Something else that's important that I didn't mention, you want to put this before all their style sheets to load our CSS. All right, so I think we actually put that in the wrong place. But first, let's go here. I actually want to make sure this is all in the screen. There we go. So before the end of the body tag, so we're going to put it like all the way at the bottom. We're putting our these script tags that I copied in. There we go. Okay. Let's save that. And this actually, I sometimes get this wrong. You want this to be above your style sheet. So make sure you put the Bootstrap above your styles, which what my style sheet's called styles.css, and then put the script tags for Bootstrap all the way down here. Great. Okay. So now that we've done that, I think we're ready to get started. Let's go back to our code. So I'm back on our index. I'm looking at it. The first thing we want to tackle is our navigation. Okay, so here I am. Let me just make sure I'm the right. There we go. So I'm on the documentation. I went to components, and then I went to navs. So here I am at the navs, and these are all base navigation. So that's kind of what I went with. I think, oh, here we go. For the nav bar is where we're getting like kind of more of a collapsible. As you can see, they're expandable, collapsible, all of that. For our project, we're just going to focus on nav. So this is the base nav. And for our site, that's really all we need. So there are only two buttons, two nav items. So when it goes to mobile, it doesn't need to collapse. But if you're looking for a collapsible hamburger menu, look at the nav bar section under Bootstrap. So let's look at what they do. So basically we want to go from boom, boom, boom to like a nice navigation. So let's try to do that right now. So as you can see, there's nav, and then there's nav item classes underneath. So let's actually do that. And then each of these are actually nav links. And then I think, yeah, they're blue here. And as you can see, a nav link doesn't, like, it looks much different, right? Okay. And I'm sure, you know what? Let's refresh this page and see what it looks like now that we've, there. So it already looks different, right? All we did was put basic Bootstrap in, and you can already see the styling of the typeface, much different, right? Went from serif to sans serif. Okay. So yeah, so right now, got a little distracted by that. I was very excited. We were putting class nav items to our LIs. Okay. Put that in everywhere. Sometimes that gets annoying. Okay. Save that. And then, or UL actually is what has the class of nav. So we want to make sure. So you want to follow documentation, what it's there for. It's very helpful. And then let's give our home the class of active here. So it's a class of nav link and active. This is how you do two classes in on like the same tag. You just put a space in between them. And then let's get this for our other A tags. And we don't need our style sheet right now. Okay. So boom. Boom. All right, let's save that. All right, we remember what it looked like before. And now when we refresh, yay. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. What we have right now, this is what we want it to look like. Let's just do a little styling while we're here. Okay, so we're just gonna go back into the style sheet and let's grab, why don't we work on the container? So it looks like the container that we just saw, and I'll show you in a second. I think that it should have margin top, but just the navigation was right at the top, 50 pixels. So we'll give that a shot. We'll save that, and then we'll go back to Google Chrome. So right here, it looks like that. Here. Oh, it has the margin top. It just scrolled down to where it was. Cool. And then the logo looks a lot smaller. So actually, I did this once before. So I added the class logo there. So if you want to add that, if you're following along, if not, just, yeah, no biggie. And then I'm going to go to that class. And, we can actually have this side by side. So this is what it used to look like. This is what we want it to look like. This is what ours looks like. So maybe let's try, let's make a width of 25 pixels. Cool. Yeah, it looks a little small. This looks a little bigger. So let's try 35. So, right, see, this is a lot of what goes on. Even in my web development role, it was okay, let's try it a little bigger, a little smaller. So sometimes you are really working pixel by pixel. And then other times, not so much. I actually liked it at 35. Cool. I like how that looks. That is great. So maybe this could be what exactly we're trying to go for. This really doesn't bother me, but maybe let's give it margin, right, just of this logo, so we can push everything over let's try 120 pixels. Okay, that looks good. Cool. And now, yeah, let's add some more Bootstrap in. So I'm going to go back to my index. And I already kind of set this up because I knew what was going to happen. I knew that I would have rows. And now I want these to, as we've talked about before, go into a 3x3 grid. So in order to do that, I already know Bootstrap is made of 12 columns. So I want to divide it by 3 so that it is 4. So I'm going to give this a class of call / and then at large, I want it to be 4. And I think for the sake of this project, we're just going to do medium. You can actually preset everything. You could do at medium, at large, I want it to be 4. At medium, I want it to be 3. So then it would, or at medium, I want it to be 8. So then it would be, or sorry, all my numbers. At medium, I want it to be 6, right? 6 and 6, 12. Maybe we'll try that out. So we'll do this with this one grid. So column D4. Yeah, so I need to do that class to all of these. Okay. And then I'm also going to, just because these images are actually not going to fit because they're so large, I'm going to give them each a class of project thumbnail. So again, I like to be descriptive with my class name so I know exactly what's going on. So that, and then image, awesome. Okay, column MD3, and then I'm just going to take project thumbnail. So right now this should just be affecting our first row because I just want to make sure everything's working before I just go through everything. And we're going to want this to take up the full width of that column that we preset, but not larger like it currently is. So we're going to give it 100%. Okay, so let's bring this all the way in and see if it's done some magic. Boom! So we have our columns, which is beautiful. And then we can see they go into one. And then I am curious because I didn't have to actually break them into rows because I'm defining them as call 4. They're always going to take up 3, right? I mean, they're always going to take up 4 and they're always going to be in a third, right? So I could actually have just dumped all these and not defined rows because they would have gone into rows on their own, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I think if I just go down this brain thought, it's not. I think we'll stick with, this is the design that they wanted, our client, so we'll stick with it. I would have just done this differently if I wanted it to have different breakpoints for large, medium, and small. That's all. But I think it's fine the way it is. And I think in the next project we'll work on something a little more complicated. This is really just to give an overview, and then we want to give them all the name thumbnail. I'll also put a link to the GitHub repository. And in the GitHub, you can click into the index and all of these to see what's going on if you feel lost or you just want to double check with the CSS. Maybe I was moving too slow somewhere, too fast somewhere else. I think I'll get into a better rhythm as these go on. So again, we just defined the margin top of the container, the width of the logo, gave it a margin right to push the other navigation items over, and gave each project thumbnail a width of 100%. And now we saved everything, so when we refresh this page, boom. And now as you can see, there's also, like they're right up against each other, the rows. So maybe let's give our project thumbnails margin bottom of, let's try 25 pixels. Cool. And then, yeah, let's do the title. So let's give it a bunch of margin. Let's go title, because that's what we called it. I remember. Margin top. Let's try 50 pixels. You know, actually, let's give it, we could give it just a margin of 50 pixels, right? And that affects the top, the left, the right, the bottom. But actually, there's a shorter syntax. I only want it to affect the top and the bottom. And then I'll do left and right 0 pixels. So like that. There we go. And then let's text align center. Just like it looks in the original. And already looking much better. All right, I feel like we accomplished a lot in this video. So this is what we've done. This is what it looks like here. That's pretty dang close. I think it's really just the typeface. I have this add-on, Chrome add-on called Font Ninja. So I can actually open it up. And if it chooses to load, see, it tells me that I'm using Roboto bold there, Roboto regular there. And here we just have the sans serif. I can't use Font Ninja because I'm just hosting it locally. But yeah, it's just the built-in sans serif that comes with our Bootstrap front-end library. So yeah, I'm proud of what we did. I hope this was understandable. I did record it a few times because I was like, what? I'm going in circles. All right, so on the next, we'll do our about page, which is blank, and our contact me page. But yeah, we did a lot today, or in this section. Hope you enjoyed and you want to stick with it. Yeah, see you in the next episode.